Let's meet our party panel and try to separate fact from the Democratic fan fiction at Twitter. Fox News contributor and professor of business and economics at the King's College in Manhattan, Brian Brenberg in the house. Yes. Boom! Hey. Former Biden campaign surrogate and Democratic strategist Kevin Walling here as well. Hey, girl.
Hey, Jimmy.
And last but not least, writer and comedian and dog sitter for Bixby, Charles McBee is in the house. Look at this.
Greatest accomplishment.
That's a great intro.
That's a hell of a credit.
That's a huge job.
And my dog is still alive. So he has been endorsed on LinkedIn for surviving.
Oh, man.
Oh, you guys. All right, Walling, let's start with you. You say this was
Please
all
don't. Let's not. Let's go to Brian.
No, Kevin, please.
Walling, you say this is all or nothing burger, which I find problematic because I think it is a little bit of a something burger, but more importantly, in your party, they're trying to ban burgers. So let's have this conversation. Are you concerned for your president right now?
I'm not necessarily concerned for my president. I want to see all the documents released. You know, when you cherry pick these emails, what we saw coming out of this is both Republican officials, Democratic officials reaching out to their contacts at Twitter to flag controversial things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Twitter employees took that down, right? But I want to see all of the documents. I want to see the thought process that went into making those decisions, because it is such a powerful tool. And maybe it tipped the scales in some areas, in some key states. I think this election in 2020 was about COVID and the economy and things like that, not necessarily about Hunter Biden. I don't think it's a winning strategy to reevaluate that and go down that path again, but certainly there's more questions than answers at this point.
Okay. McBee, I'll just take you at that. McBee, who do you trust more? Liberal Twitter to protect democracy, or Cheech and Chong to protect your weed stash?
I'm gonna give
or Bixby.
Yeah, I give it all to Bixby. I don't trust anybody anymore.
He eats like he has the munchies, by the way, McBee. You might have blown that one.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't trust anybody.
No, I don't trust anybody, and I don't trust anybody to be objective when it comes to, you know, the smoking gun or somebody doing something, you know, not above board.
Okay.
Like, it's always blame. It's always when it's the other guy on the other team, we got to get him. When it's the guy on our team, whoa, nothing to see here, folks. So you know, I don't bang Crip or Blood. You know me. I don't care about either side. Everybody's full of it, and it's all. It's just all.
He would never get through a Crip initiation. He has said this on the show before. What's your favorite band, McBee?
Wait, no, tell me.
Oh, Coldplay. He listens to Coldplay. Can you imagine he shows up to a Blood in the Crip get-together, and he's like, yo, before we thug out, can you put on a little Coldplay?
That's right. Blasting the scientists. That's right.
It doesn't end good. Listen, I want to throw this at you, Brenberg. There has been such a rush to discredit Elon Musk and, of course, Matt Taibbi, the reporter it was leaked to, but no one's actually speaking to the specificity of what was in those emails. So is this like when someone's setting you up on a blind date and they won't tell you if the girl's good looking or not? Like, shouldn't we be deducing something from the lack of intellectual curiosity?
Yeah, it's like we're not talking about the thing. We're not talking about the fact that, hey, Jim Baker showed up at Twitter and he doesn't want anybody to look at any of this stuff. And Elvis Chan, talk about Elvis on this show. He's pre-bunking the stories with Twitter and Facebook. Let's talk about Matt Taibbi and the fact that he is putting information out there, which all of us want. How about more of that? Let's talk about what he's got out there right now.
Well, I think there's a really interesting pivot going on, because Matt Taibbi, as you know, was like a patron saint of the left. Kind of like Elon Musk.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody who wants Elon Musk hanged is driving a Tesla when they tweet that, which is crazy. But the fact that I believe he leaked it, well, not leaked it, but gave it to Matt Taibbi, was an attempt to buy currency with the left. Maybe not you, Kevin Walling, who I find to be an honest broker of the facts.
Sweetheart alert.
But is there a faction on the left that no matter what Taibbi puts out there would ever own this?
100%. Yeah.
Who is that faction? You and your fiance? Who? What? The left's reaction to this right now, the left has gone full Shaggy. You know the Shaggy song, It Wasn't Me? The girl has walked in, seen them going at it on the floor, and he's like, it wasn't me. That's basically what we're down here. You're not denying the emails. You're not denying the emails. You're saying, hey, can we get more emails?
Not even more transparency.
Okay.
Of course, as part of this process. But listen, you know, the real winner in this is Elon Musk, right? He's making Twitter more relevant. That's all we're talking about across all news programs. He's a pretty smart business guy. This is part of his business model, talking about this, and that's all we're doing.
No question there. Let me ask you this, McBee.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know about business models and everything else, though, is a guy who is from the streets, from the cul-de-sacs.
That's right.
Of
I'm
Toledo, Ohio.
Maybe
not the streets, the cul-de-sacs. The guy is from the cul-de-sacs.
That's right. The coldest of cul-de-sacs.
Aren't we kind of missing the forest through the trees that we're focusing on free speech and Twitter instead of what is on Hunter's laptop?
Look, I want to know what's on Hunter's laptop.
Well, it's
they say
everywhere.
leave what is it? What's the phrase? Leave no stone unturned. Hunter's like stone. Who's getting stoned? I want to know.
Leave no stoner unturned. I see what you did there.
I want to know. But I want to know when it comes to everything. I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat. I want to know everything. If it's something that affects us, the people, it should be free. It should be free to us. And I think it's lovely that Elon is so for protecting free speech, unless it's a comedian who is making fun of him.
Oh, well, there's that.
True.
Well, listen, I want to really quickly, because Kanye West today did call Elon a half-Chinese lab creation.
Good guy.
Isn't it amazing how far we've come on Twitter that a year ago you couldn't say COVID was made in a lab? Now you can say the owner of Twitter was made in a lab? Give him some credit. And panel, stick around. We got more to do. It's time for everyone to be investigated. Since winning back the House, the GOP has vowed to investigate Hunter Biden's shady business dealings and Sleepy Joe's connections to it all. But now, after Elon Musk exposed Biden's Twitter censorship, Kentucky Congressman James Comer wants big tech under a big microscope.
I think you're going to start seeing executives with not just Twitter, but also Facebook come forward and admit that they were influenced by people from the Democrat National Committee, people from the FBI, and even people from the Biden administration. You know, prior to Elon Musk, Twitter essentially served as a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat National Committee.
So are Republicans right to start a reality show called America's Got Investigations, or is the Kentucky congressman spending too much time on the Bourbon Trail? Joining me now is editor-in-chief of The Federalist and Fox News contributor Molly Hemingway. Molly.
Great to be here with you.
Oh, thank God. I was so nervous. She's like, I watched that intro. I'm out of here, Failla. Molly, let's have this talk, and let's begin with the obvious, okay? If what we know was, say, oh, I don't know, like Donald Trump Jr., I sometimes get the feeling there'd be a little more intellectual curiosity into not who leaked this, but the actual veracity of what is on that laptop. Are you, like me, sensing a double standard big enough to drive an electric truck through?
You know, if you pay a lot of attention and you're really trained in how to understand slight differences in media coverage, you can detect an ever so slight difference in how corporate media and other members of the establishment treated the previous administration and this one. Yes, it's absolutely insane. And it's not just the laptop. It is so many things related to not just Hunter Biden, but the entire Biden family. They have a business, which is that you give members of the Biden family money because of their proximity to the person who's in power. And the people who do this are corrupt foreign governments, corrupt foreign oligarchs, and if any single one of these things were about any member of the Trump family, it would be nonstop front page news in the New York Times, and we all know it, and it's unbelievable the level of propaganda we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest, and I say that as a guy who digests a lot of things, judging from my weight. But let's stay focused for a second. Do you get the fear, as I do, that when you read social media right now, there's such a big semantic fight over what constitutes interference and free speech that we're kind of losing the forest through the trees, and that the investigation into Twitter at this point would tell us what? They're liberal? I don't really need an investigation for that. But as far as the investigation into the Bidens, I kind of think that's where we're supposed to be focusing our energy.
So there are two issues here. One, I think it really is troubling that many people on the left openly disdain free speech, freedom of the press. They don't care about this type of meddling in elections. That really worries me for the future of the republic. But as for what Congress can do, there's not entirely all that much they can do in a divided Congress, but they really have to do a lot. And part of that will be oversight and investigations. And part of that is that we need legislative changes immediately to deal with the fact that some of these social media big tech oligarchs are more powerful than our own government and are a threat to the republic because of how much they are meddling in elections and free discourse, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. They are a tremendous threat, and something needs to be done, not just talked about in oversight hearings.
Yeah, for sure. And do you believe, as I do, because a lot of people have found Jesus very late in the service when it comes to this laptop. CBS, of course, now saying they authenticated it. Okay, there's no new information available today that wasn't available 2 years ago. So is this kind of an exercise in like revisionist ass covering, given that the GOP can expose this and Elon kind of did?
Right. The reason why they covered up this story is because everybody knew it was true. They knew the details about this Biden family business and its corruption were so bad that they had to keep the American people from knowing about it before a very close election. And I just want to also say, it wasn't just the Hunter Biden story. They were meddling on all sorts of stories, whether it was the Democrat riots that besieged cities in the summer of 2020, everything about COVID, which, as your panelist notes, was a huge issue in the election. So their meddling was across all sorts of things. But yeah, it's a little late for people to admit it, and I think they think it's funny. But that's why people who care about this country need to do something. They need to not just talk about it. They need to have people deposed. Oh, that's a really important thing for these hearings. Don't do hearings, do depositions where you bring in all of these executives and you get them under oath to explain why they're telling different stories depending on their audience, exactly who they were colluding with in and outside the government, and you get some really good under oath answers that will begin to break things open.
1,000%. Molly, that is why we give you the top shelf liquor at the Kennedy cocktail parties. That was excellent work as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Coming up,
Take care.
Ex-White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki with a warning about President Trump. Why she says Democrats are overconfident about 2024. A Psaki bomb dropping on NBC yesterday. Former White House Press Secretary Jen Circleback Psaki warning her fellow Democrats not to underestimate President Trump in 2024. Watch.
I think Democrats and sane Republicans underestimate Trump at their own peril, because in order for Trump not to win the nomination, there has to be a better alternative. So the question is, who's the alternative? Trump has some evil charisma that helps him win the nomination. The nomination process is long. What is going to happen here, in my view, is people should not underestimate him.
Oh my gosh, you guys, he's got evil charisma, like Dracula or Hannibal Lecter. So is that enough to win the Republican presidential primary? The panel is back. Brian Brenberg, Kevin Walling, and Charles McBee. McBee, I'm going to start with you. You remember the old Chris Rock bit about Robitussin?
Yes.
Where it was just a fix-all for anything. Shake it up, pour a little tussin on it. Is Trump?
That's a good rock impersonation.
Is Trump? Well, then come over here and smack me, and we can take it to the next level. You can do a Will Smith. Is Trump just Democrat Robitussin? Whenever they're in a pickle, you just shake it up, pour a little Trump tussin on it?
Yeah, but at this point, it's not really working for him like it used to.
They still got symptoms.
It's not hitting like it used to. They're going to need a new boogeyman that's go around, because it's just not. Trump ain't trumping like he used to.
It ain't trumping. Trumping ain't easy. That's what they say, Walling, in my circles.
I've always said that.
I took a poll on my radio show.
Yeah.
Okay, of who would you prefer in 2024? Now, seriously.
I think I was on that.
Yeah.
For that program.
Yes, you were on Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla weekdays from noon to 3, not to make this all about me.
Gosh.
But the poll, I'm not kidding, was 120 in favor of DeSantis to 13 callers for Trump.
Yeah.
So my question is Jen Psaki reading the room, or is she just reading the Washington Post?
Well, listen, and you brought some of those callers live on the show.
You took calls on my show.
Which was a very dangerous, very dangerous thing. But they were all in on DeSantis. Listen, you know, maybe we take him out of the closet when we need him in terms of this midterm election with Trump. But to Jen's point, he's still leading in the primary polls for Republicans. He has a pretty clear shot at the nomination if he wants it. And he's wounded right now.
Okay.
A wounded Donald Trump is a very dangerous Donald Trump. And he gives zero whatever now heading into these next 2 years.
It's interesting you say that. Next thing you know, he'll be truth socialing about ripping up the Constitution. Not that that would ever happen.
Imagine that.
But Walling, don't you think it's a little reductive that she reduces his appeal to some type of evil superpower when they're obviously overwhelmingly supportive of his policies?
Well, I think the core base of his support is because of him personally. You go to a Trump rally, tell me about the Abraham Accords, Sally at the Trump rally. I think they're more focused on the personality, and that's his base of support.
I think you'd be surprised, but let me ask you this, Brenberg. Does Trump's evil charisma have a hold on you, or is it still the old modeling shots of Melania you've been texting me? And I don't know what you think my data plan is, but it ain't yours. So if you could slow down on those Melania clips.
I think it's funny that Psaki's talking about charisma, because, before the show, she had to go into the dictionary and look up the term charisma.
Boom! Brenberg clapping back.
Anything about it experientially.
Psaki bomb right here.
Whoa!
Right there. Evil. Yeah, the problem here is they always treat him like he's anything but human.
Yeah.
You know, he's a villain.
He's
or
Thanos. He's a Marvel
mother bear
supervillain.
or something just about to strike, instead of a guy people can relate to. And that's his key.
Blue-collar billionaire. Okay.
Exactly. With a gold toilet.
The wild thing is, like, when you watch superhero movies nowadays, a lot of people are rooting for the villain these days. So, like, a lot of people are, when you watch Dark Knight, they kind of root for the Joker because of the charisma. They root for Thanos because of the charisma. So that might be a compliment to a lot of supporters of Donald Trump, calling him like the evil villain. They're like, yeah, he is, and we hope he wins.
So you're saying he needs to go on a late night show and attack the host? He's coming for you, Gutfeld, because the other ones ain't booking him. I'm just telling you because I care. I think what's happened here is I think, we have gotten so insular in our political climate that people believe their own depictions of the other side. There's a lot of Republicans that think Democrats are intentionally destroying the country. I don't believe that. I just think they're destroying the country, but their heart's in the right place. But do you think too many Democrats, Walling, have bought into Trump hype?
Sure. I think everyone is brought into Trump hype. And we were talking about this during the break. It'll be interesting to see coverage now going forward. CNN helped make a Trump 2016 candidacy.
Yeah.
He's nowhere on that network because it was good for ratings.
Now they've laid off more people than they have ratings.
Exactly.
Like they're actually rehiring them as viewers to try to sell some ads. Brenberg, Trump, really quick, okay? Who is a bigger threat to our well-being? Okay, this is important. Trump? Okay, or would you say Walling's people, the Democrats?
Wait, Walling's people, is he included in that? Can I include
Not
Kevin
Walling,
in
Walling's the
that?
broker. Really quick, are
hand.
Democratic policies right now, in terms of the economy, in terms of the border, in terms of fossil fuels, are they a bigger threat right now than Trump's evil charisma?
I will say your guys are a bigger threat because what Trump did, not what he said, what he did was pretty darn helpful.
The back of the baseball card doesn't lie. You know what I'm saying, Walling?
I still adore you, Brad.
There you go. They'll always be friends. Stay right here, because coming up, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle dropping a new trailer for their upcoming Netflix series. Oh, the tears, the yelling, the anger. Could this be your worst acting since season 7 of Suits? The panel returns to discuss it in moments. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle just won't go away. They dropped a new trailer today for their tell-all Netflix series. Here's a look. Yo, seriously? I wouldn't watch that at gunpoint. I really wouldn't, and a big gun. But the backlash is growing. It's not just me. Critics say the series looks appalling. So why are they doing this? We're back in the studio with Brian Brenberg, Kevin Walling, and Charles McBee. McBee, I will start with you. Yeah. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry say they just want their privacy. And like all people who just want their privacy, they've started a podcast and a reality show. Does anyone on earth take these people seriously anymore?
I can relate. I also want my privacy, which is why I'm on television right now.
No, are you saying I get low ratings? I am a ratings king. I am a king, McBee. You know how many cabbies are watching me right now? I got the whole LaGuardia wait line watching this.
Gosh.
Come on, McBee.
No, listen, I mean, it's the royals. There are lots and lots of people who are infatuated with this. Why, I don't know, but there are. But what's really interesting to me is, like, the people who are most infatuated by the royals are the people who hate the royals. Like, there's so many people who...
saying they're hate watching.
They're hate watching, so it's a lot of that going on as well. You know what I do? I just don't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't care. They come on my TV, I go, all right. And
all right. No, I get it. No, that makes sense. Brenberg, they're not even real royals. They're like Kansas City Royals. What would you rather watch? A special on Harry and Meghan or a documentary about Steve Bye-Bye Balboni?
I would love to watch Steve Bye-Bye Balboni. I take the Kansas City Royals any day. Here's the thing. I watched that trailer at home to prepare for this show. I will never get that time. I have to explain to my kids why that was on my computer. I don't know if I can do that. We're going to talk about childhood nightmares on this show.
If you want to talk about explaining difficult videos to your kids on the computer, I'm your guy.
Whoa.
Walling, we're living in an economy where 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck because of your party, but stick with me. But seriously, in a world where 65% of Americans are struggling, does anybody really feel bad for the difficulties of royal life? These people are so rich, they have people as furniture.
Yeah,
they don't even have couches. They just sit on other people. She has a string quartet that serenades her while she poops. When is she going to get that nobody thinks she's a victim?
Speaking of things on the computer, but
hello.
Listen, I think they're actually potentially running out of money that they have to do this. So they've taken a step back from the Royals, the security, the funds that come with that, the protection, the homes. I think they are needing cash and have sold their story to Netflix, and it's a 6-part series that's going to take it through. Supposedly, I read about it, which I won't have that time back either. Their courtship to now stepping back from their royal duties. I thought it was actually a nice moment when they were reunited for the Queen's funeral, and it seemed like the family was getting back together.
That was a nice
But now
scene.
they've just declared war once again, just in these 30 seconds on the family.
It was nice the way they didn't let her on the balcony because Kate would have pushed her off. I thought that was a warm. It was a warm moment too. You mean when they tried to push her into the fire outside Buckingham Palace?
What's more relatable than that? His family's all
That's
across
true.
the world.
That's true. Don't stand too close to that balcony.
McBee, she is a tone-deaf idiot. I once watched her. I once watched her on an African tour with Harry get interviewed in a village where the people were survivors of landmines. And she cried to a reporter because he said, "How are you?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, no one's ever asked me that." And I was like, Megan, we'd all like to walk a mile in your shoes if only the people in this village had feet.
You're right.
Is there a bigger tone-deaf bozo than her?
In the world, I would have to check and see. But
Okay.
no. People, celebrities and socialites saying dumb things is not a new thing. We're comics, so we say dumb things every 30 seconds. But yeah,
for yourself,
yeah.
McBee.
Listen, I've known you for a very long time. No, but yeah, it's very tone deaf. You see it all the time, and it's kind of like it's an eye roll. There's plenty of. If there was a drinking game of every time somebody of privilege, especially pretty privilege in that realm, says something dumb, we'd all be blasted out of our minds right now.
Bottom line, people of America, these guys suck. And Harry is only going to wear the crown if he has a birthday party at Burger King. Move on with your lives. You're better than feeling bad for people who are billionaires. Speaking of traumatic events, though, climate change is apparently terrifying the next generation. One top Dem says it's keeping her kids up at night.
They've also given us a model to become our own leaders. And let me tell you what it means to me, coming in as a different generation. I remember my middle child waking up with nightmares over concern around climate change. These are the type of experiences that we are going to bring as we continue to push to meet this moment of challenge for the American people with progress.
Now, in the interest of full disclosure, we cut out the reporter's question, which was, tell me you're a horrible parent without telling me you're a horrible parent. Maybe the media is pouring gas on the fire. Washington Post writer recently suggesting, quote, should you not have kids because of climate change? It's complicated. No, you should not have kids because you're unbearable. So is it time to stop scaring the public with ghost stories about climate catastrophe? Brenberg, I'll start with you. As an econ professor, I know your kids frequently wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares about bond yields. Okay? In all honesty, she thinks this is good branding. My kids care about the environment. But is it on some level to a lot of parents bad branding?
I'm sorry, but if your kids are waking up with nightmares about climate change, they're having nightmares about you.
Yes.
You are the one showing
You're
up in their
scaring
dreams.
them.
Okay, you're there scolding them, and they're saying, "Why did I end up in this family in the first place? Get me out of here."
Okay, I will go to you, Walling, and not the version of you that wants to get invited to all the good DC cocktail parties, but the version you and I text back.
You can stop now. Stop all your.
If you and your
invites are still going out.
If you and your fiance, and congratulations
Thank
on
you
the
very
engagement,
much.
Congratulations. Marriage is a sacred institution. Odds are you're only going to do it 3 times. So make
That's
it
the
10.
plan.
But stick with me. If you and your fiance have children, adopt children, or whatever means you go about procuring these children, Craigslist, whatever you're into, I'm not going to judge. Would you let this woman babysit your kids?
Probably not.
Thank you! He's an honest Democrat!
But it's not limited to her. I wouldn't let any member of Congress babysit my kids, Republican or Democrat, because there's definitely a lot of egos involved, and I don't want them around my children.
Thank you. McBee, let me ask you this, because I always say that climate change is kind of like white privilege. And the reason I say that is because every time someone's scaring us to death about it, it's always some like white liberal elite on the coast, okay? When you go home to Thanksgiving in your predominantly black family, I know you listen to Coldplay, so you lose the black points, as you said earlier. But when you go home to your family...
Jay-Z loves Coldplay.
Or you go to one of your parties in my white Bronco, like you did when you were house sitting. You took my Bronco Bronco to like New Jersey. I got it because I know the odometer. I got it back with like 800 miles on it.
That's right. Me driving around
God
Long
love
Island
you.
in a white Bronco.
He was driving in a white Bronco. I OJ'd McBee in my white Bronco.
Oh my
but
God.
But are you and your family sitting around at Thanksgiving going, what do we do about climate change?
No, absolutely not. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say something a little controversial. I agree with the reporter that said that, what did they say, that you shouldn't have kids? Should you have kids because of climate change? I think that people who believe that should not have kids. I agree. All these people should not have kids and only leave the rest of us to populate the nation.
Thank you,
the
because
world.
here's what I think the problem is, Brenberg. I think a lot of people, the whole point of being a kid is you're a kid. You're shielded from adult adversity for as long as humanly possible.
Especially made up.
Thank you. Okay, listen, I like fundraising off gullible people as much as the next guy, but I don't hit them with all of that. Are you concerned that Democrats on some level are dealing their kids into political adversity at too young of an age?
Yeah, I mean, you're on so many issues we are dealing with this.
You want to know how concerned he is? The question was for Walling.
You said his name first.
Oh, go ahead. I'm kidding.
No, I would just like to be Kevin Walling for a day.
No,
heavy the head that wears this crown. You don't.
Just don't make a documentary.
Okay,
he's up on Netflix.
Yeah, that's right. You want to be the Democrat on Fox News? God love you.
Maybe we could do a little role reversal here. I will say this. People are the solution to problems like climate change. It's human innovation that get us out there. What drives me nuts is people say, don't have kids. You don't have kids, you don't have ideas. You don't have ideas, you never beat this. Let's beat it. Let's have kids and raise them well and give them their childhood back.
In the immortal words of the late, great Whitney Houston, I believe the children of the future.
Thank you.
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
I'm glad that's the one.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride. That's all I remember. We sang it at my 5th grade graduation.
For all you at home, take that shot. For the
there it is. Take a shot. Graduation. Thank you, panel. I miss you guys already.
Thanks,
Brian, Kevin, and Charles. There they go. Coming up. The Biden administration is ready to drill, baby, drill. But not in America. Wait till you hear who's about to get rich off the latest Biden blunder.